So, hello everyone and welcome. And as you can see, I'm driving my own car again, but just to the Nürburgring Nordschleife today, not too far from where I live, because I was invited by Audi alongside other junior drivers who have won something this year. And as you may recall, I won the Swedish Audi TT Cup. And what's happening there is a big classic car event all day. So nothing serious, no racing, just a celebration of classic touring and sports cars. And a part of our special treatment as guests, there will be a backstage tour of the Audi pit lane, so getting a bit of an explanation about the different race cars. I heard they have the old Audi V8 from the DTM in the early 1990s there, and we might even get to drive them for one or a few laps around the short Nürburgring. So not the Nordschleife, just the Nürburgring Sprint version probably, and then at the end of the day, there will be then a sort of exhibition race event around the big Nordschleife. Yeah, I'm highly looking forward to that. So as a late extra reward for my success earlier this year, and of course I will tell you all about it. So, this is me now, in the venerable Audi V8 DTM from 1992. And yeah, so after the initial briefing, giving us an overview, telling us a few stories about how it came about, some quite ingenious solutions that they had used, and how they developed the car. They actually let us out in the beast. And of course with the mandate to be very, very careful and to bring it home in one piece. And yeah, this is me taking the turn, and wow, this is absolutely amazing. Of course, much more powerful than everything I have ever sort of driven before. Also much heavier, and you can feel it driving this car. Also, you have to shift with a good old-fashioned knob, though it's at least sequential. But anyway, yeah, you have to take care. And as you can see, there are lots of other classic touring cars about from different eras. So from the early 90s. So this is I think one of the first generation M3s, and you can see the difference in speed, and that I have to be careful not to run into them or to overtake them, because it's just basically practice for fun. And also I was still getting used to how this car reacts and how it is to drive, and yeah, not to make any big mistakes. It is actually quite easy to drive, but I think that's the all-wheel drive at work. So yes, you have lots of power on tap, but also it's not the most difficult thing once you got the hang of it, and once you're over the initial respect. And oh yeah, so not everyone is taking the most care. Yeah, so have to watch out. And we got overall 3 laps in the car before we had to get back in, so that was an absolutely amazing experience. So you might be wondering, why do you see me in the car again? And especially now in the afternoon, which you may be able to see from the different lighting, when everyone else is leaving the pit lane for the starting grid for the exhibition race. Well, it appears that a designated driver for the exhibition race, and also he was the one who gave us the tour this morning for the car, was suddenly feeling unwell. And apparently I looked like the most controlled of us young drivers this morning, so they asked me, and I had to first, of course, think about it, and that might have convinced them that I indeed might be able to take the car around 2 laps of the Nordschleife, which I obviously know from sim racing, and I've also been there with my own car, but of course never ever in an actual race car. So yeah, I had to think long and hard about it, but then after a while I was confident that at least could bring the car back in one piece and unharmed And then I said yes, and then now they're getting ready to send the car out to the starting grid of the exhibition race, and I'm going to be the driver. So here is where I will deviate from this suggestion for the first time in this series. So what I will only run is a 2-lap exhibition race, and I run it multi-class, so not just with a DTM92 car set, but with other classic touring cars as well. Just so that you're not surprised by what you'll be seeing in the actual race video.
2 laps.
So here I'm now in the starting grid, still in awe that I am now allowed
Andy, get ready
to drive this car around the Nordschleife with all the other classics ahead of me and behind me. So they started according to which class, but of course I now have to take it very, very carefully since I've never driven this car on the Nordschleife. So you see the first older sort of classic already overtaking me, and yeah, first corner, first chicane,
left side.
Always the big issue, and yeah, so made it through there, no dent, and that was one of the goals that I got for the race. So to keep it on the grey bits, to keep the sheet metal intact, to keep it out of the barrier, and to arrive at the finish line after 2 races on the Nordschleife. And it didn't matter where I finished, so I totally expected now to be overtaken left and right, since this was the part I knew. But soon from the 3 laps I had in the morning, but of course...
White flag, mate. Yellow flag.
Oh yeah, so the first one already had a spin.
Green flag, sector 1.
But now we're about to leave the area that I knew and enter the actual Nordschleife. You can again see the clear speed difference between a DTM92 car and one of the Volvos from the mid-80s, I think. But then again, he knew exactly where to brake, whereas I didn't. Yeah, and now I have to start tiptoeing around, especially this first part of the Nordschleife, which again I've never driven before in this car. I of course know where to go and how the track looks from my sim racing experience, and also from driving this in my own car a fair while ago.
Cruise point now, it's closing the gap. It's now 1.3.
But this of course is now an entirely different game, and you can see everyone sort of bunching up behind me.
Car right, clear right.
Careful with those gear shifts.
Car right. Still there.
And yeah, I'm happy to let everyone through, especially before this
Clear
next
right.
passage.
Right side. Still there.
And I'm not even sure they had
Clear
enough
line.
time to give everyone the
Clear
briefing
right.
who's driving the Audi, and that they should take extra care. But I guess no
right.
one will see or wants
Clear
to see
right.
dents in
All
their
right,
classic,
clear
although they are still, as you can see, racing drivers at heart. And if there is a gap, then they will pass as long as there isn't too much of danger. Yeah, and here I'm lifting. I don't want to be too close or even attempt to overtake. I just want to take the next corner safely. No idea how much I would have to brake actually.
Yellow. The gap to cruise point now. Ahead is increasing. It's now 2.5.
So, and again, now at least I could breathe a bit with no one immediately harassing me and everything being flat out, but at the same time you can't really breathe if you have these speeds in such a heavy car, here down to the Fuchsröhre.
On your left. Clear left.
And yeah, you can see they attack with gusto, and I now have to start tiptoeing again. Knowing in general where to go, but not in any way which speeds are feasible, and the last thing I want is to disappoint everyone, that I end up in the barrier. Things seem to settle down now a little bit, so I could start to actually realize what am I doing, in which car, on which track.
Yellow flag, sector 2. Sector 2 is now green.
Yeah,
On your left.
this is
Clear left.
is another very difficult part, because normally you can take this much faster, but here I had no clue how fast, and where the 1992 vintage suspension would then give out. So again, more tiptoeing. It was always
flag in sector 2.
always letting out
Left side.
the big sigh of
Clear
relief
left.
when there was a long straight, because then I could go down from 110% concentration maybe down to 95. And yeah, as you can see, I'm now in the
approach point now ahead is increasing. It's now 13 seconds.
I'm now in the middle of the field of the 80s classic, so they had the 90s folks starting in front, and then the 80s mixed together with
sector 3, yellow flag.
the classic Porsche Cup cars from the first Porsche Cup, which are roughly matched in speed.
Green flag, sector 2.
So here it's then about lifting again. I don't want to overtake. I'm happy where I am, and if I have a bit of a gap to anyone behind, then this makes me even happier.
Yellow flag.
Yellow flags, you see,
Zielinski
this was
retired.
my big moment, and my Audi colleague seems to have had an issue, and everyone is now going very slowly, finding their way
Right
through.
side.
And
Watch your line.
yeah, you can see there's someone else,
Watch your line.
and 3 also had
Clear
already a
right.
moment, and
Green
some
flag, incident clear.
deformed metal in front, but seems to be going. So yeah, that's this hairy situation now mastered. Until the next potentially hairy situation, I had no idea how this thing would behave in the carousel. So as you can see, I'm taking it extra slow. And here is also where you notice the weight of the car and the G-forces it still can generate, even though with technology back from 1992.
Green flag in sector 3.
Here I slowly got a little bit more confident now that I at least had half a lap of an idea how the car would behave, and then I could start to sort of map how this probably would behave based on my experience how to drive this part of the Nordschleife in general. So it's not that much tiptoeing around, at least it didn't feel like it, but you can see from the gaps that people who know their cars still easily drive away.
Car left. Hold your line. Clear left.
And you can see them bunching up behind, because yeah, they don't want to risk anything either. And I had my hands full just keeping it on the road without thinking, okay, how can I let them through in the best way. And it was all just for good fun anyway, so nothing really to win or to lose, just to I relived the good old days again. And for me, of course, it wasn't a good old day, it was a unique first time experience, but many of the other drivers either had been actually driven
Flag in sector 3.
there, or at least were around. And well, one more in the barrier. Yeah.
Green flag, you're clear.
So again,
Yellow flag.
happy that I made it past another yellow flag. So again, cautious. Yeah, there is one slow Volvo trundling around. Maybe he lost the engine or something.
Clear, incident clear. Stryjek is leading the race.
Okay, and here I was highly looking forward to the Döttinger Höhe, because there I could probably
Sector 3 is
relax for the first time of the past 9 minutes or so, or even longer, since I got the info that yes, I would be indeed allowed to drive. And here after this I wouldn't have to really worry about anyone behind, because of course I'm now much faster than the sort of classics from the 80s. And also that I'm probably now going as fast as I've ever gone. I didn't have the time to read this the speed from the tiny display, but I suspect I've never actually driven at this speed before, and here you can again see I'm braking very early and taking it
is now in the lead.
very carefully through the final chicane. Well, one lap down, one more to go. I didn't break anything. I only had a very short visit to a piece of grass, but nothing happened. And again,
okay, Andy, that's half distance. You're looking good for fuel. V13, last lap.
all-wheel drive may even have helped there. Staying on the grey bit. And since I now gained a few seconds
Sector 3 is yellow.
to those behind, I could now focus mainly on getting well through these corners. And again, I've driven them a few times, at least on the morning, so I knew roughly what to expect. And also now in the second lap, I would at least always have a vague idea of what to expect in general, since I've now
Incident in Sector 1. Sector
driven
1 is
full
yellow.
lap. And here I can now actually get closer to those in front, since here I had a few laps practice that made now all the difference. And of course a 1992 car is way different compared to something from the mid-80s. Not only,
line, clear left.
not only top speed, but also in grip. And onto the Nordschleife again, second time. And yeah, here we probably have the car with the sort of crudest suspension of them all ahead, the old Volvo 240 Turbo. And then with the car with probably the most advanced suspension, including all-wheel drive, right behind. And then you can again see that I'm taking things quite carefully. Still tiptoeing, but not as much tiptoeing as before. Here again, one corner I had no idea what to expect if I wasn't harassed. And you can see how far I'm pulling away from the guy behind. So the rather easy part is now over again. Or it will be over after the next corner. And the speed still called me out at times, because I'm approaching these corners much faster.
Sector 2, yellow flag.
Much faster than I've ever approached them. And at least I'm not harassed anymore, so I guess I found my place in the overall standings across classes. This was maybe even a bit ambitious here, because I was a bit late on the brakes. Again, it's a
Green flag in sector 2.
wholly different level of speed relative to everything I've now driven in real life.
Alright Andy, the next car is Rosberg. Sector 3 is green.
And
Yellow flag sector 2.
I seem to have kept a decent distance to the car behind, so that probably spoke to my increased speed this time through this sector as well.
Green flag sector 2. Yellow flag, green flag, you're clear of the incident. White flag.
And again, a trouble ahead.
On your right, clear right. Right side, clear right.
So even though this is just an exhibition race, guess the real racers can never switch off. But I made it safely past them. And I figured they would now be all over me. So let's see what I can do. Even though, again, it doesn't really matter. And I tried but failed to take this faster. And part of the reason was I wasn't really able to sustain the G-forces and keeping the steering wheel at the right angle. So these two laps certainly gave me a newfound respect for the Nordschleife in real life, because in sim racing it is not that scary, and especially since a mistake, has no effect except maybe ruining a virtual race. But here, in real life,
sector 3.
in an actual V8 powered race car, that's something else entirely. And sort of kudos and big respect to everyone who's able to drive this at actual proper racing speeds, instead of me more or less trundling around, at least
sector 3.
compared to them.
Car right. Clear right.
Yeah, no sense in overly
Car
defending.
left, clear left.
I would probably get him back anyway on the Dottinger here. So let's see how big the speed difference actually is, because he gained quite a bit on me in even those few corners, although they are probably among the more tricky ones anyway. So you can see in here I'm still going. I'm still increasing in speed, and I suspect he's now hit the brick wall with the aerodynamic brick that the Volvo is. Yeah.
On your right. Clear right.
There, that's that. And now, final corners.
Right side, clear right.
Green flag, sector 3.
And now I actually started to realize that I made it, that I drove 2 laps on the actual Nordschleife without any kind of practice on the Nordschleife part, and only
That's it, we're done.
only 3 laps of practice on the Nürburgring Sprint part. So I was extremely relieved, but of course also extremely happy that I got this unexpected opportunity. So as you can see, now I'm on my way back home, and it has gotten quite late. Of course I didn't miss the after event after all that had happened, and I also needed some time to cool down and to get back to the real world after this almost surreal experience of coming to a day expecting just maybe 1 or 2 demo laps around the Nürburgring Sprint and then ending up with 2 actual Nordschleife laps. So this one absolutely amazing final event of the year, and yeah. And in case you are wondering, so the other driver was fine by the end of the day again, so well, probably just a mild case of food poisoning, we suspect, but they didn't want to take any chances, and apparently they had sufficient trust in me after seeing me drive the car very carefully around the morning session, that they felt that they could indeed entrust the car to me for the 2 Nordschleife laps. So what else is in store after this? Basically nothing more for this year, so I will keep working on my racing licenses, and if I needed anything... What's happening there? Just a traffic control. If I needed anything further to motivate me to keep my racing career going, then this certainly was it, and I hope to have something more and something exciting going for next year, but that's still quite some time out. So until then, see you on track.